Conscious isolation. What do you need to change? Conscious isolation is isolation that a person chooses voluntarily because it is something they need or want. However, there are some people that see it as a negative thing or a strange situation that they completely disagree with. In the society we live in, isolation is not looked at favorably. Because of this, we have the tendency to look for approval from others or to depend on our partners. We don't want to be alone nor feel separated from the rest of the world. This is seen as something bad, but in reality, could it be something that we need? Conscious isolation helps us find ourselves. Always depending on others and trying to please everyone simply because we are scared they might leave us on our own only leaves us exhausted in the end. However, this isn't the worst of the consequences that result from these types of attitudes. The worst is when we finally realize that we have lost ourselves on our paths. Where is the person from before that we used to know so well? When did we stop listening to our own selves and start doing what others told us to do? With the smallest actions that we carry out day to day, we have learned to ignore our own thoughts so much so that we are living completely dictated by those around us. However, there will come a time when we are suffering, when we are not happy, and we don't want to be around friends. It's not that other people are toxic. It's our fears, our continuous attempts to please everyone, our want to be perfect that have caused our relationships with ourselves to be toxic. And this is dangerous for our health. That's why conscious isolation helps us to find ourselves again. The person that we truly are, that we left behind, but that we are now hoping to be again. A new perspective. Conscious isolation also gives us a new perspective about everything that is happening around us. As we know, sometimes we make decisions that don't benefit us or we respond to situations in a way that we really shouldn't because we lack perspective. Taking this time for ourselves will help us see problems as opportunities, mistakes as lessons, and people as mirrors that tell us about ourselves. Having arrived at this point, we realize that conscious isolation has to happen when there is something in our lives that need a solution. It could be because you have fallen into depression, you are not managing your relationships well, or because you have fears that you are not facing. With all of these, there had to have been a disconnection with our true selves, and it's important that you find yourself again. Because, even though we may be looking for help, we know that the solution is within ourselves. We just have to give it time and listen to ourselves. The answer is always inside us, but it's true that sometimes we just need a push to help us. However, changing the things we want in respect to ourselves is completely our own responsibility. Conscious isolation lets us pamper ourselves. When we have a problem, sometimes we forget to treat and care for ourselves. This is because we are waiting for other people to do it for us, but we don't realize that we have to start by being the ones who do it for ourselves. We are always worrying about other people, and we don't spend enough time worrying about ourselves. Maybe it's because we think that it would make us seem selfish. But, when conscious isolation calls, it's because we need some time to concentrate on ourselves, and no one else. Conscious isolation helps us to prioritize our lives, to take care of ourselves, and to listen to ourselves when we have lost so much time and have forgotten who we are. Spending time alone can be a very positive way to see a situation from a new perspective, to break away from emotional dependence, or to heal from the pain. Avoiding conscious isolation when we feel and need it is a mistake. Our fears, like the fear of losing someone, should not control us. Our well-being should always come first.